Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for tuning in and thank you so much for subscribing. If you haven't, what are you doing? Please kindly subscribe. So the last time we talked, I had said I would come back with a video on the steps towards inner child healing. However, I felt like I didn't do much justice on what we are trying to heal. So I came with an expansion video on which we are going to be talking about the types of wounds of inner child. The wounds we get from stuff we experience as we grow up and which somehow shape us and always find a way of coping up in our adult life. Yes, so wound number one is the abandonment wound. Now, a person who has an abandonment wound, they fear being alone, they fear being left out, and they somehow always feel left out, and they always threaten to leave, and they are codependent. They can't be alone. They always feel the need to be in a relationship or around people, and somehow these people constantly attract people who are emotionally unavailable. Wound number two, the guilt wound. Now, a person who has a guilt wound constantly feels sorry or bad. They are always apologizing, sorry about everything, literally all the time. They can't ask for things, somehow they just can't. Thirdly, they use guilt to manipulate people. Number four, they are afraid of setting boundaries. They are afraid of setting boundaries. They just can't. Even if they do, they really cannot keep up. Number five, this person is always almost always attracting a person who makes them feel guilty. Moving on to wound number three. Somewhat. It's really hot. Like, imagine you are hot, like a heater, baby, and then it's.
I'm hot.
You are hot.
Like a heater.
Yes.
I'm hot like a heater.
Yes.
Like a heater. I'm hot like a heater.
Number three, we have the trust wound. Now, a person who has a trust wound, they cannot trust people. They always find ways not to trust the next person. They can't even trust themselves to begin with, and they always fear being hurt, so they always building facades like, nah, you can't hate me, you can't. And somehow they always feel insecure and in constant need of external validation. They don't feel safe. Sadly, they always attract people who make them feel unsafe, so much that these insecurities, they always like want to jump out, like, okay, I need validation right now, I need some validation right now. Wound number four, the neglect wound. Now, a person who has the neglect wound, they struggle to let things go, they get angry easily, they have low self-esteem and low sense of self-worth. They can't say no, and they constantly repress their emotions. They are not the type of people that you will find out there laying out their emotions for you. No. They fear being vulnerable so much that they build facades around them to protect themselves. Unfortunately, this type of people constantly attract people who make them feel unappreciated, unwanted, and unseen in a way, like. Okay guys, this brings us to the end of our video, and like I said, I believe everybody needs some form of inner child healing. Of all the points that I've listed, don't tell me you can't find one point that is pointing at you. So next week I'm coming back with the steps of like how then can we deal with these issues, how do we go about it, how do we heal from these things. Okay, thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe. I love you so much. Mwah.